what is something that you'll take back to the States?
What I'll take back is, for me, like Tiffany was saying, the slave dungeons. Like I said, we kind of heard about it, but we never physically seen what, like the dungeon is so dark. To physically see the scratches that are still on the wall, to be able to feel that, it's really emotional. Like I said, it's an experience that I can't even describe, the feeling to feel what our ancestors went through.
Why did that resonate with you so much, that particular part, with the 5 churches for every African?
Why did that resonate with me so much? Because it's what's keeping this rich continent and these beautiful people in the dark. It's what's keeping them behind the 8 ball. It's what's allowing them to allow other countries to come in and use the resources and tax them for their own resources.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Back for another Maximum Impact Travel experience here in Accra, Ghana. And if you have not traveled to the continent of Africa, or maybe you have and you're looking to explore even more, check out MaximumImpactTravel.com and let us lead you on this journey. Now, today I'm talking to some folks who are just wrapping up another experience here. And I'm just gonna let them share their thoughts, their experience, and why they think it's important for you to be a part. So what's happening, everybody? Hey. All right, so this is it. I mean, it's like it's winding down. You are here. This is, I guess we're on the last day. So I want to get some of your thoughts and what your experience has been like here in Ghana.
Okay, from my experience, it's been amazing. It has been an amazing trip. Seeing things I have never seen before. It's a lot of surprises. But the experience has been excellent. The people have been welcoming, never felt threatened or like we didn't belong here. Everyone was happy to see us. The trip to Kumasi, to the Ashanti village, probably was the highlight of my trip. Just, being inside the village, putting on real kente cloth and how heavy it was a surprise to me. And then the going over to the slave dungeons was the most eye-opening experience, and somewhat somber, but at the same time, very, very informative. So it's been a great trip, and weather's been great besides today. But so far, so good, and it's just, it's like 10 out of 10, probably 20 out of 10, I give the ratings for this trip.
Wow, that's a lot coming from you. I know I know who you are, and I say that because I know you like things at a high standard.
Agreed.
And that's what I recognize. Here's a question I have for you, and this might be this might be deep, it might not be deep. Why do you think brothers need to come?
I think everybody needs to come, but brothers definitely need to come just to, number one, to see where our lineage came from and get more history of the time before slavery, and to see, smell, hear everything that's going on here in Accra, Ghana, I guess all across Africa. So I think it's very important for us to do more than just read it out of a book and kind of get the story for yourself.
All right, Tiffany, you're here with your husband, and so why did you decide to come along? Because I guess either one of you could have just come, but why did the two of you, or why did you decide to come along with Brian?
I think the reason why I came, one, because we're a team, and we do travel together, and this was Brian's dream trip. For the most part, it was his dream trip. So what's his dream is my dream. I think it's a family lifelong dream that we both travel to Africa and have the experience together. So me having this experience and being able to share it with Brian has been rewarding. This whole entire trip has been nothing but short of being amazing. I had an amazing time. I've actually learned so much. I've shared some of those experiences with Brian to tell him a lot of things that I didn't know, not because I never wanted to learn, is things that he might have tried to get me to sit down and watch with him. And maybe I did, and just didn't really understand it. So being able to travel and walk into that slave river that our ancestors went walk through, put things more into perspective for me. I learned so much more. So now when I get back, I'll be able to really fully understand. Going to the Ashanti village was really breathtaking for me. And I mean, I don't know. I would just being able to come back, being able to share those experiences when I get back with the family and the friends and coworkers, it's going to be special.
Well, what is something that sticks out to you? Like, I don't know if it's a moment or...
I think the one piece of this trip that stuck out to me mostly was going to the dungeons. For whatever reason, like I didn't really know exactly what, we went through, what it was like to live in those dungeons. We put through that and sleeping in the feces and being treated the way, like I knew, but I didn't really know, like to the extent that I learned these past 8-9 days. So that's being very honest. So I'm well aware and versed now a little bit more. So that really stuck out to me. And when we were at the slave river and being able to, say the prayer for our ancestors once who came before us, and had the opportunity to walk that same path as they once did with no shoes on, with the exception of the shackles, put things in a lot more perspective. I thought about people in my family who I've never met. I thought about my great grandmother and her mother, and things and what they might have went through. And there were some challenges because once I've never really walked barefooted through mud and dirt, but I felt some type of way when I took off those shoes and walked on the grounds to that river.
All right. Well, I mean, it's when I hear people share their thoughts, it brings to life what I had envisioned. I didn't know who I was going to meet on this journey. You just don't know who you're going to meet. You put it out there and you're like, well, I hope someone is able to grasp what I saw. And when I hear each person talk, when I'm hearing you talk, it's like, you got it. It's like, that was what I was hoping for from the standpoint of, and everybody gets it on their own terms, so that's what resonates with me. So, all right, Charlesetta, what brought you to Accra, Ghana? What brought you and Eric here this time?
What brought me and Eric, unfortunately, he wasn't available for the interview at this time, but this was his dream. As a matter of fact, he's calling me now. But this was his dream to come to Africa to see where, his ancestors came from. So we've been working at this for a couple of years, and actually Tiffany and Brian invited us for this trip. So for me, this wasn't my dream, so I was kind of kicking and screaming. But
that's real.
Right.
That's
but
real.
Because they were going, it was an organized trip. I was like, if we're gonna go, this is the best time to go. So, but the experience has been more than I could have ever imagined. I have heard the stories, seen the movies, but until you actually physically see it for yourself, touch it, that experience is so humbling. And so it's been a great experience.
What sticks out to you about being here? Because there's so many different experiences along the way. I mean, we're moving. What is something that you'll take back to the States?
What I'll take back is, for me, like Tiffany was saying, the slave dungeons. Like I said, we kind of heard about it, but we never physically seen what, like the dungeon is so dark, to physically see the scratches that are still on the wall, to be able to feel that. It's really emotional. Like I said, it's an experience that I can't even describe, the feeling to feel what our ancestors went through.
Good. Why do you think it's important for us, those who are part of the African diaspora, to come and have the experience that you had?
Because we really don't know. You know, like you said, we know, but we don't know. We till you walk the path that they went, until you seen the dungeons and heard the stories of what all they went through, we really still don't know. You know, until you physically see that and be able to walk and imagine what they went experienced.
All right. Do you think it's important for our people under 25? No, let's go take it under 20.
Very important, because they have, you know, like we heard from our parents, like what they experienced with racism, or, you know, as far as during the 60s and the 50s, when there was separation as far as what colored people could do. They don't have any, you know, knowledge of that. Right. And so like for my son, since he's on Snapchat, like I have videoed everything and put it on Snapchat for him to, since he's not here physically, to be able to experience that and hear the stories. So yes, they definitely need to see this.
All right. Y'all heard it. So we've got young folks out there that need to see this, because one of the things I think about is how they're trying to erase this history from American textbooks, and probably trying to do it in Canada and the UK. Well, let me say this, it's not even in the ones we had. How about that? So the way that we can level the playing field is by way of social media and different platforms, and then our firsthand accounts. Because if we don't teach our children, best believe these systems won't do it. They'll give them information that's something so far-fetched. So I appreciate that. Sharon, let's talk about your experience.
My experience, I'm not sure where to start. First off, I've wanted to move to Africa since 2005, but I did not know how. And around 2020, my desire revived itself. And so I started taking notes and researching for an entire year. I did that. And I probably watch at least one African movie literally every day. I told my mom we're going to Africa. May she rest in peace, but I brought her urn with me to sprinkle ashes in a few places, and I hope she's pleased. I hope she's proud. I can't find my words still. My experience, it hasn't caught up to me, but my tears are about to. Listening to these guys talk, I'm so happy for them too. My joy, it hasn't caught up to me yet. Help me, I'm losing myself.
What resonated with you? What is really sticking out to you? And it could be anything. There are no right or wrong answers. You understand?
Yes, I do. Well, for my entire life, people have criticized my personality. They've always told me that I'm too much, and they've told me that that I need to tone it down a little bit. And I noticed that in America, I was becoming angry because I was losing myself. And I felt like, you know, y'all are changing me from who I am. And the very first day that I got here, someone told me, your personality, I love it, your energy. And then going into the Ashanti village for our naming ceremony, the moment I stepped foot into the palace, I couldn't contain myself. It was so emotional, and seeing the tribal dances and how they worked so hard. And I just kept thinking, these people are so beautiful. They are so beautiful, and it's just not fair, because Africa has everything that the world wants. And that part also frustrates me. There's enough churches here for 5 churches for at least every individual in this country. And it's disturbing to me.
Why is it disturbing?
Because it's not true. And the sooner that Africans and people around the world realize their Hebrew heritage and stop calling themselves bywords, black and white, then we'll be able to talk about what's real and get away from the mysteries of who we are. I mean, you can open up the books of the Bible and you can see it right there, but yet when you're conditioned, you see it, but you don't believe it. So that's an issue that I feel as if needs to be tackled from abroad as well.
How does it get tackled?
Because I've noticed that many Africans want to be in America, and they want to have the same experiences. And some of us in America, we know our history, we know who we are and whose we are. And when we're on the continent teaching our brothers and sisters, then they can begin to unfold and they can begin to awaken, just like prophecy stated.
When you talk about that, what are some other things that you saw that may have disturbed you along the way? I know that was one part of it. You said it was a church for like every 5 churches for every African. So what are some other things, or why did that resonate with you so much, that particular part with the 5 churches for every African?
Why did that resonate with me so much? Because it's what's keeping this rich continent and these beautiful people in the dark. It's what's keeping them behind the 8 ball. It's what's allowing them to allow other countries to come in and use the resources and tax them for their own resources. If Africans knew how rich they truly are, they have it so wonderfully. Everything is natural. And so it's disturbing to me because who's going to tell them? You know, not everyone has access to technology and the ability to learn how we do. So who's going to teach them?
What do you think from the standpoint of when you see people who are working hard every day and they're not able to, from our appearance, it's just a day-to-day survival. What do you think that goes back to?
What do I think that goes back to? Certainly not laziness. I think that goes back to, you know, that's a tough question for me, honestly. I'll try to answer it, but I don't know if I can. I just don't know if I can. I just think it goes back to the same things we deal with, generation after generation after generation of blinded people, passing down the same message and the same ways of being. And also because the powers that be in this country or on this continent seem, from what we can see abroad, they seem more interested in the financial portion of politics as opposed to making sure that this beautiful and rich people rise. So they struggle in ways that is unnecessary, and it breaks my heart. It honestly breaks my heart.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the honesty. I mean, because when we were talking, I know you said, well, I might say some things that might be a bit controversial, but I was like, hey, say what your experience is. Because a lot of times what happens, people will come and they will try to say what everybody wants to hear, but everybody's experience is different. And so that was your experience. And that is what makes all of this come together, because everybody has a unique piece of the puzzle that they can share. And so that's why I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. So when you go back, I'm assuming at some point you're going to come back to the continent. Is this your first time?
This is my first time.
This is everybody's first time? Yes. So, okay, this was not your, you were dragged here kicking and screaming. To the person who's being dragged, what do you say to that person because that person is like, oh, no, I don't want to go. I don't care. You go, all right, I'm going to go on with you, because if I don't, I'm going to hear this forever. I know I better go on this trip. So what do you say to that person?
Well, I could say, well, I asked, my basic fear was the flight. You know, it was the long flights. So when you told me that on the other side of the flight, it was, I don't remember your exact word.
I always say you never know what's on the other side of the flight. I always say on the other side of the flight, you don't know what's there, and it's priceless on the other side. So that's what
I would say. It's definitely priceless. The words, I can't even put the words to describe what the experience has been. It's worth the flight, even though I got another flight coming up tonight.
We got to get y'all back safely. We do a check-in.
But yeah, so I say that person definitely is worth everything, even for the experience of the group. You know, meeting people from all different places from the United States, for us to experience all of this together, and we all got different views and all took different experiences. we met and was able to develop friendships that we could possibly carry on beside.
Well, you know what ends up happening? We have this contagious effect because we have a group, the groups that came last year are now the groups going to Tanzania and Egypt. So I have a strange feeling. This is how this works. That I'll probably see you all in the future somewhere. That's the kicking and screaming, dragged and everything else. But we won't have to drag you next time. All right. All right, well, listen, I want to thank all of you for your experiences and sharing your experiences because each person is going to, this is what I tell people all the time. You never know who you're speaking to. So you might be speaking to someone who never even considered traveling. That person might be, no, we're going to go over here. But when we did our Zoom call, we talked about how you had never been to the continent.
Right.
And now I talked on the Zoom. Did I do what I said I was going to do?
Yes.
Oh, so well, that was the part I was like, let me make sure that I did what I said.
Yeah, it was well delivered. Schedule was action-packed. It was a business schedule, but having the luxury of transportation arranged for you made the trip much more enjoyable than when we travel alone and trying to pick up taxis and things of that nature. So we were definitely delivered. You delivered exactly what I was expecting to get out of this trip. And then, like I say, Africa delivered as well. So
That definitely was a great experience for me as well. I mean, the trip was told, we had an itinerary for every day. So we had no rest. It was like no sleep. No, but I'm saying it was worth it. You got rest in between other days.
Yeah, in between your eyes closed and you got a little rested.
If you want to come to Africa and experience everything, then definitely this kind of trip is worth that. Yes.
Sorry, I kind of lost myself when I was explaining my personality because my Ashanti tribal name, actually Yasantiwa, is a brave and courageous warrior queen mother, and that explains a lot about who I am. So when I go back home, I've already struggled to maintain myself in spite of what other people think about me, and now that just gives me more courage. In fact, I've even spent time by myself yesterday when I ventured out by myself. I took an Uber, I went to the grocery store, I told people, no please, I'm not interested, thank you. I cried and screamed my eyes out on the canopy. That was me crying and screaming.
With the little one trying to help you. That's okay, Auntie.
But I did it. It was just an experience. This has been the experience of a lifetime. We've been in, I don't know, I've seen the best and the worst. Yeah. I've seen the best and the worst, including the rainforest. Yes. It was beautiful. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. And if you remember what I said early on, I said, I talked about you being a free spirit. And I said, just do you, just be you. Just go, just enjoy yourself. So sometimes people can pick up personalities, and this would be a perfect environment where nobody's even gonna try to put you in a box or anything like that. So continue your journey and explore, and I think you're here another day or something like that.
Today's my birthday. Happy birthday.
You jumped ahead of the situation. Okay, all right. So today is her birthday. A lot of times people have birthdays here in Ghana, so that's always something that we look forward to. But continue to explore and continue to have this adventure even over the next 24 hours.
If you get an opportunity to travel to Africa, travel with Jay. I'm a big detail-oriented person. I'll have to tell you, I wasn't worried so much that it wouldn't be organized, but I will have to say, I think every day I told my husband that this has been one well-organized person, and it really exceeded my expectations. And for that, I'm so grateful, and thank you.
Well, thank you, because I know you too. And I understand. But I like to make sure that we're represented all the way across the board. And I like to make sure that our experience, because y'all know how there's stereotypes about us and how we do things. Yes. And I like to make sure that people understand that we have the capacity, just like the people here in Africa have the capacity to do it. So it's like for us to actually execute it, it builds a confidence. So when we go back and it's the next thing and the next person. So I appreciate that. All of your comments mean the world to me and the team and the staff that's working out Forsten over here on the camera. And it's a collective effort to be able to bring us all together. So listen, you've heard it for yourself. Now it's up to you to make the decision to join us here somewhere on the continent of Africa. We have trips scheduled here to Ghana. This is the Gateway Experience, but we also go to Tanzania, or Tanzania as they would say, Zanzibar, Kenya, Seychelles, South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt. I'm getting ready to head to Morocco and Senegal and the Gambia. So and Ethiopia as well. All of these are African experiences that we're looking to put together so that we can bridge this gap of misinformation, this gap of cultural depravity, if you will. That's what we're looking to bridge, this gap, so that we can come together and understand the story more accurately using all of our senses, and then we can go back and be ambassadors on the other side. So be sure to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and let people know to subscribe right here to Maximum Impact with Jay Cameron. So until next time, take care, be safe.
Open up your eyes and see all the fun and mystery. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny. From the mountains to the shore, so many things to explore. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny.
The Adventures of Darren and Destiny. And Darren and Destiny are twin brother and sister, and you go on their adventures throughout the African diaspora, meaning so African diaspora destinations, primarily focused in Africa, but we go to South America, we're going to go to the Caribbean. Their first book is going to take you to Ghana, and then we're going to go on a safari, and from there we're going to go to Ethiopia, and then we go to Salvador, Brazil. And what the goal is to be able to inspire curiosity in the continent of Africa in our children from a very young age, and to really tell a more accurate story. Most of our children are exposed to negative images, late night infomercials about how bad things are, everybody's sick, everybody's poor, everyone's uneducated, but that's simply not true. So what Darren and Destiny and their family do is they go to different African destinations. They are learning about these different places. You're beginning to see positive images, but still telling the truth. I mean, that's the important thing, to tell the truth about some of the things that have occurred. But it's all done on a children's level, so they begin to understand it. And it begins to pique their curiosity. They begin to learn more. And hopefully one day they will want to explore and visit the continent of Africa and its many countries. There's just so much that Darren and Destiny are able to do, and as they're doing it, it's like they begin to open the minds of a new generation, and they don't get bombarded and indoctrinated with negativity. They're actually able to see positivity and inspiring images and messages about the African diaspora, as well as those who are still indigenous to the continent of Africa, and they begin to learn more and just see things differently. So I'm excited about introducing the Adventures of Darren and Destiny.